Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, thank you first of all for all that you do. Those of us in the public sector, oftentimes in these very challenging times, don't get the full recognition for the sweat, the toil that we engage in on a daily basis. So I know, because I'm very proud of the 1,200 employees of the State Controller's Office, and for those who don't thank you, let me thank you in their stead. Now, I've been asked to share with you this evening a sense and a perspective on the California budget and where we are today. But after listening to Gavin, let me share a few of my thoughts, because Gavin alluded to his hero as Robert F. Kennedy. My parents are first-generation immigrants from Taiwan who came to this country in the 1950s. And they came here with the same hopes that all of us share, and a greater opportunity for ourselves and our families, and that we, in fact, can strive to be anything what we dream to be. And in fact, I think America came closer to that promise with the election of President Obama. Now, yes. So I am the first child of Asian immigrant parents, and my mom was moved by a particular leader. My dad was moved by another leader. So I stand before you today as John Chiang. My mom wanted to name me after President John F. Kennedy. My dad, on the other hand, wanted to name me Richard. Now, fortunately, my mom wore the pants in the family. A year later, a continuing debate ensued in our family, and my dad wanted to again go with Richard, and my mom went with Gavin Newsom's hero, Robert F. Kennedy. So my brother, who's 11 months younger, is named Robert, so we're named John and Robert after the Kennedys. But I take the words from President Kennedy's inaugural very seriously. He said to each generation, a torch is passed. And my parents gave up a considerable lot to leave everything behind in Taiwan. They left their family, they left wealth, they left their friends to come here because they thought they could produce something much bigger. And what my parents endured here was a tremendous struggle. But they, like so many people, overcame struggle, and today we are at a better place. But we were the first Asian Pacific American family in our suburb of Chicago, and we had to experience tremendous racial epithets and racial taunts. Now, we would see signs, and our mailboxes were blown up, and the comments were, "Go home Gook," "Go home Jap," "Go home Chink." That was heard very frequently. Now, my parents are from Taiwan, so technically, none of those apply. So that was part of the ignorance that we had to overcome, and successfully did so. Now, my mom, you would all love my mom. My mom is a very passionate, compassionate woman. She's very religious. She's devoutly Catholic. All the things that you could be rest assured is she goes to church every morning at 6 or 6:30, and she prays for the world's souls. So we're all being prayed for by my mom. And as we were overcoming, thank you, my mom would love that. As we were overcoming the struggles, she said, "John, it's going to be hard, but what's more important is we have to show who we are and do what we believe in, and most people will agree with us, because at the end of the day, we have common bonds and we have common interests." And I took that devoutly as to how I help govern the 38 million people here in California. Because I understand the struggles of the people who are forgotten, who are left behind, who don't have full access to power. As I pointed out, my parents didn't have much wealth when they came to this country. My dad had 3 shirts and 2 pairs of pants, learning his 5th language, trying to get his PhD in chemical engineering. Now, they overcame all of that, and today I have the good fortune of being the state's chief fiscal officer. Now, I'm a far second in the family, as my mom, as being an Asian mom, as I told you, she wanted 4 doctors. Right. She wanted 4 doctors. So can you imagine the appall that her oldest son, the first one out of the gate, would become a lawyer and fail on that front? Now, we tease my brother, who's the favorite in terms of accomplishment. He's the medical doctor, but he didn't quite make it into the end zone, right? Because he became an ophthalmologist, and for a long time, my mom didn't wear glasses. He didn't quite become the surgeon. But we used to tease my brother, the doctor, because we're saying, hey, you know, Bob, Mom is the most proud of you. And he said, no, Mom loves us all the same. We know Mom loves us all the same, but she's proud of the fact that you're a doctor. And he says, you know, we'll see. One Christmas, we're all gathered. We go to midnight mass. My mom's going to introduce the 4 kids to her family. And she says, this is my son, Dr. Robert Chiang. These are my 3 other kids. So I am a humbled state controller. But the impact today in the battles, whether it's the minimum wage battle, whether it's the furlough, whether I'm trying to do what we have today with IOUs, what we had to do earlier with cash deferrals, is all about us. And what I'm trying to do as a state's chief fiscal officer is to set a new, a stronger, a more powerful, a more better vision for all Californians. Because what we have from too many leaders in Sacramento, in Washington, D.C., is a divide and conquer attitude. For those who do not have, for those who still have the dreams but don't have the benefit and all the privileges, we will continue to leave them behind. And our justice, our society, our respect will never be garnered internationally if that is our approach to our fellow human being. And so that's why I've tried to change that as the state controller. And it's important that we gather together to make sure that this state elevates its financial standards. When I became controller of this state 2.5 years ago, I said to the great 1,200 plus employees in the controller's office, I want to be the best public fiscal office in the United States of America. I worked with you guys 20 years ago. I am so happy to be back. But what's going to be different about me as the state controller is we're going to highlight your work. And when we start winning awards, you're going to go up and accept these awards. Because I want people all across this globe to see what we're doing. And what we've done in the controller's office in the last 2.5 years has truly been transformational. Right? I've called out the numbers, and whether it is Standard & Poor's, the credit rating agencies, or it's Bank of America, we've elevated the standards in the state controller's office. And that's part of the reason I stood up for you. Now, I didn't view it as standing up to the governor. I viewed it as standing up for you, first of all. When the governor and I went to battle last summer, he said the state was going to run out of money in the summer, right? And I said, first of all, that's not accurate. We're going to run out of money in October, right? And you have to get it right, right? You have to get it right. Then, right, because that led to the order to drop public servants' wages to minimum wage, right? Because that became the argument for that wage. Now, first of all, how do you expect people to stand up? How do you expect to prop up the California economy when people come to work hard every day, do the right thing, protect their neighbor, build the California economic prowess, and then we tell you we are going to put you in financial harm's way? We are going to pay you minimum wage. Pay you minimum wage. That is exactly what we're not supposed to do, first of all, to the people who are working, but just as an approach and an attitude to people here in California. Now, I always put my record up, right? The good thing, when I became controller, I post the state's numbers on the website. And if you remember, just a couple months later, when I said the state of California was going to run out of money, that's when Governor Schwarzenegger went to Washington, D.C., asking the Bush administration to assist us. Right? I'm not trying to get into battles for Governor Schwarzenegger. I'm just trying to get all of us in state government aligned to the right place where we can help people. And then you saw me when the governor signed the budget, right, and everybody in Sacramento is responsible for that, when I said the budget was out of balance the moment it was signed, even though it was signed 85 days late. Because I know